Hi guys, it's your boy Daniel and welcome to my YouTube channel. On this video, I'm going to go through two aspects of owning my 2018 Kia Rio. The first aspect of this video will be covering how I got the car at an amazing price with low mileage. On the second aspect, we will be focusing on the cost of ownership of the car, how it costs me to run this car on a daily basis. I would like to think of myself as a practical buyer rather than an emotional one. And with that being said, I didn't just buy the car because I like it. I bought the car because it was practical to me at the time. There were two things in mind: the legroom at the back and the boot space. Prior to owning this car, I had a 2017 Kia Picanto that I financed with Standard Bank for 2 years. It was relatively an easy decision for me to finance the car for 2 years, considering that my deposit was well above 50% of the purchase price. I got the Kia Picanto also at an amazing price of 120,000 and it had 71,000 kilometers on the clock. I would like to add a disclaimer that this does not constitute as financial advice. I'm just sharing my experiences with the viewers. My decision to buy a Kia Picanto was purely motivated by the fact that I had chosen to stay far away from where I work. I currently travel 39 kilometers to where I work and another 39 kilometers to home. There are three reasons why I upgraded from a Kia Picanto to a Kia Rio. The first reason being that the Kia Picanto had accumulated so much mileage, and I could see that if I don't sell it at that time, it will be very difficult for me to sell it in the future. When you sell the car at a dealership, the more mileage the car has on it, the lesser the rent you will get from the dealership for the car. The second reason I upgraded is the legroom at the back. With my kid growing up, it was becoming more and more difficult for him to be comfortable while sitting at the back seat, so I needed something with more legroom at the back. The third reason why I upgraded was the boot space. The Kia Picanto's boot was very limited, to say the least. I then noticed that I had to utilize the back seat more and more to fit my other tools, as all of them couldn't fit in the boot, and hence I needed a car with much larger boot space. I then went about to compare the Polo Vivo, the Polo TSI, the Hyundai i20 and the Ford Fiesta. The Polo Vivo didn't have enough boot space and the legroom was insanely small, almost like the one of a Picanto. The Polo TSI had enough usable boot space in my view, but the legroom was not really impressive and the price was insane for a car that size. The Ford Fiesta had less usable boot space and the legroom was basically non-existent and the interior was dull. With the Hyundai i20, the boot space was there and the legroom was there, but in order to get a neat i20, those ones are normally overpriced. In my view, it only makes sense to buy a well-spec'd Hyundai i20, as the lesser spec one doesn't offer a good interior. Now let's come to how I managed to purchase the car in Cape Town while only staying in Gauteng. I conducted a car search on the Auto Trader website, which is where I usually search for cars. I sometimes go to cars.co.za, but I don't like it as much because usually you get all those dodgy dealerships that post their cars there a lot of the times. So one thing I usually do is that I do not limit my search to only the province that I'm in. I try to expand my search to the whole of South Africa as much as I can, because I know I can just go there and fetch the car, or they can even deliver it to me. I got this car at an amazing price of 180,000 rand, and that was excluding the on-the-road costs. On the road costs are fees that the dealership charges when you buy a car, and when bundled up, they amount to 5,000 to 6,000 rand. The dealership usually includes this amount on your finance, and in my view, it's just another good way for the dealership to rip you off, because why not just include it in the price? On the road cost consists of items like delivering of the car, licensing of the car, and other costs that could just be included in the price again. When I bought the Kia Picanto at a purchase price of 120,000 rands, the initial purchase price was 125, which I negotiated down to 120,000 rands. When the time came to talk about on the road costs, I basically told the sales agent that I know nothing about on the road costs, and by that time I had already acquired the remaining finance from Standard Bank, and my deposit was quite large. Now, looking at the fact that my deposit was quite large and I've already acquired the remaining finance from the bank, what was left of the dealership was just to process the paperwork, and everything was basically done. So they agreed to include the 5,000 for the on the road cost on to the 120,000. So I ended up paying only the 120,000, and then at a later stage I included a 2 years warranty which costed me around 8,000, and they included that in the finance. So my overall purchase price ended up coming to 128,000. Adding the 2-year warranty was not necessary, and I should not have done it. As I've said before, the Kia Rio was from Honda Cape Town, and it came up with a purchase price of 180,000 rand, which did not include the on-the-road costs. As you could see from the auto trader search that I've just performed on this video, the Kia Rio from a reputable dealership does not cost anywhere around that price, and the starting price of the used Kia Rio is around 210,000 rand. The Kia Rio had 34,000 kilometers on the clock, and that was impressive. Upon talking to the salesperson at the dealership and having them to send me a video of the car and all the documentations of the car, I got finance from Standard Bank. My finance was approved and they sent me a quotation. I had to negotiate the interest rate on the quotation for a full day so that it can be what I thought was fair. I will normally discourage people from giving their documents to the dealership so that the dealership can acquire finance for them, because in that way you have less negotiating power on the interest and the amount that they give you all in all. I have 1 year driving this car and I bought it in 2021, and I've never encountered any problems from the car. Because I took the liberty of acquiring finance from Standard Bank on my own, I made sure that they gave me a quotation of 180,000 and nothing more. I know that some of you are surprised and are like, hey man, but what about the on-the-road costs? Well, I basically sent the quotation to the dealership as it is, and I just told them that the bank cannot give me anything more and I don't have cash on the side. Bear in mind that I've done all the work when coming to finance, and now what's left is for the dealership to just approve the quotation and then send me documents that I can send to Standard Bank. There was a 6-hour negotiation, and at the end of the day, we all agreed that the on-the-road costs will be put on the purchase price. So the final amount that I had to pay was 180,000. I think the other factor that played the role is that I had initially told the dealership that I have another car and I'm not desperate to buy another one. A quick tip that I can dish out is that I have noticed that whenever you are buying a car of a certain brand, let's say you want to buy a used VW, it will be probably better for you to not buy it at VW. Buy it at another dealership where you know that they want to sell their cars, and a VW, they just want it out of the way. Maybe it got there because someone was exchanging the car for something else, or they saw it somewhere at a good deal and then they did all the work with regards to making sure that it's drivable on the road. At that time when we were buying the car in Cape Town, I've always wanted to take my family for a mini vacation in Cape Town or Durban. So we chose Cape Town because the car was there. We had made it clear with the dealership that if we get there and the car is not at the condition that we expect, we will drop the deal and we won't sign the release note. Now let's come to the cost of ownership, how much it cost me to run this car on a daily basis. I have financed the car for 5 years and the installment came up to be 3,900. The car was still under a service plan and it had 2 more services left. If I had to pay for a service for my own project, a service for a Kia Rio is not that expensive at all. It can cost around 2,200 for a minor service and 3,500 for a major service, depending on what the laborer still needs to do to the car. If there are any added labor that they have to do, or it's just a standard service. Another cost of running the car is the insurance. I currently have insurance with My Way Insurance and the insurance premium is 1,250. Before getting insured by My Way, I was insured by Dal Direct. They were my previous insurer when I had the Kia Picanto, and when I changed to a Kia Rio, I just continued with them, but the premium went up to 1,800. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I'll die winning. Another cost of ownership of the car is the petrol. I usually go to work 14 days in a month, and 2 full tanks are more than enough for me to survive the whole month. But of course I have other trips, so I will keep that petrol at around 2,500, but the basic will be 2,000. So the insurance, the petrol and the car's premium are the only costs that I'm experiencing so far. Now altogether it cost me 7,150 to run this car on a daily basis. So how I manage all these costs is that firstly, I have a job where I work shifts as a paper maker. Secondly, me and my wife have accumulated 3 rental properties, excluding the one that we live in. 3 rental properties that are all cash flowing positive, and that cash flow is enough to cover most of the petrol, if not all sometimes. I also have income as a caretaker of the complex where I'm staying, and that amount is enough to cover the insurance fully. I also have another income as a unit caretaker. So basically, if someone wants to rent out their unit and stays far or doesn't want to manage the property themselves, then I caretake the unit for them. So basically, they pay me a retainer every month, so that if a problem arises, let's say for instance, they have a problem with their plumbing, the tenants have a problem with their plumbing, then I can go there and basically see if I can fix the plumbing or recommend the best corrective measure for everything to be fixed at the unit. And that income all put together, it's around 1,500. So we can basically say the true cost that I'm having for running this car is the installment. The income that I make as a part-time handyman could not be added to this video because mostly I do not use it for taking care of the expenses of the car. And another thing, it varies from month to month, so it's never stable. That's why I didn't include that income. I hope this video has added value to your buying decision, and also a lot of the viewers can see how much is it to run a car on a daily basis, because you can't just be thinking about only the installment. You need to think about the insurance, the petrol, and maybe other costs like maybe the service. That's if your car is no longer under service plan. Please press the subscribe button for more content like this. And if this video added value to your buying decision, please press the like button and always share the video with your friends. You can always start the conversation in the comment section. Until next time, peace